Hello there. Welcome. You've caught me while I was just, gardening a little bit. I've decided since we have all of these poppies from the iron farm, I would expand out our farming fields here a little bit with some flower gardens. And speaking of lots of poppies, I've also worked on our iron farm here and gotten it up and running yet again. You may not have even realized that it was broken because, well, I kind of just stopped talking about it, but it was broken. There was a rogue iron golem in my castle. Don't be like me. If you're gonna cover up your iron farm, make sure you place all the slabs. There we go. Anyways, I wanted to start today by working a little bit more on this area out here. After all, we still have a lot of improvements to make to this hardcore world in the new year. Happy New Year, by the way. This is one of those areas that we kind of just visit for the farm itself, but it still might be nice to have a little bit more of a, finished interior to it. After all, this area is such an important part of the view from our village. It needs to have a good interior to go with it. Come on, kitty. The interior is done. Come on, kitty. At least one of you should get to hang out in here. There we go. That should keep the creepers out. It's not much of an interior, but it's certainly better than it was. It at least gives a little bit of interest when you come in here. Just, something to look at. A place where people hang out at the iron farm. That'll make coming to get iron a lot more interesting. Right, now that everything is working out at the farms, let's head back to the village. Oop, chicken egg. I've been playing in this world a little bit over my holiday break, and in doing so, I've discovered, we have a pretty big problem in this world. That problem is that I really haven't improved my storage situation from that of a starter house, and, it's starting to get to me. I mean, I'm not gonna claim I'm the most organized person on the planet. It's also to the point where because my starting house has overflowed, I have stuff here, and I have stuff up here. Granted, this one's actually pretty organized. And I'm pretty sure I also have stuff over there, and down in that chest boat, and over there, and I definitely have a bunch of stuff at the iron farm. I gotta get my life together. The trouble is, you see, I've had a little bit of a problem deciding exactly where I want my storage to go. In order for me to actually stay organized, I need my storage room to have a fairly central location. So the barn, for example, was a little bit too far away from where I'm actually working for me to consistently use it. So naturally, I spent a bunch of time staring at my village, and I decided that I would actually like to have a much more central storage system right there. So I suppose the only problem really is that this is currently a nether portal and not a storage system. That's okay though, I can fix that. There we go. I think it's probably better for the villagers' sake anyways if we don't have a nether portal in the middle of their village. After all, they're not very smart and they definitely can't survive in the nether. This area is also directly below my starter house, so we should be able to still link those together, which I like. I suppose the main thing that I need to do now is just get digging. I'm gonna need a fairly large space for all of my stuff. Alright, with this space all dug out, it is now time to start actually planning where the chests are gonna go. And we are going to need a lot of chests. I feel like doing them in groups of 3 like this is really satisfying, but then I definitely also want to have a pillar between that. Yeah, that would actually look pretty cool. We've just got to go a little bit further down this way. Whenever I build these, I find I spend like the vast majority of my thinking time in a world in a storage room. It's also where you go for all of your crafting and all of your needs in a world, and you spend a lot of time organizing all your things from your exploration. It's just generally a really important space. So I want to decorate it and hopefully do it justice for just how important of a space it is. One of the nice things about this design is that this room can hopefully grow with me. Since there's nothing crazy going on in this direction, I can continue tunneling as the room and my needs need to expand. I think when it comes to actually decorating this, I'd love to tie in some more of my pinks and purples, but also get some really nice stable supports with the spruce wood here. I think something like this would be absolutely lovely. Just rounds out the space nicely and ties in a bunch of our pinks and purples. And then for our flooring, we can continue that kind of purplish color by using some of our nether brick over here, which thankfully I do have lots of smelting. The bonus about this block is I actually love the sound that it makes when you walk on it, so it's kind of like ASMR as I'm sorting my storage system. Yep. That is nice. Then, I think to keep kind of going with the floor being a fairly dark theme, I'm gonna try out some dark oak. I do think that that's gonna work because it ties in nicely with the pillars. I just so happen to have the exact number of shroom lights that I need to pull off some sneaky hidden lighting in this room that should take away the need for torches. Oh goodness. Maybe I should sleep. I want my villagers to get struck while I'm building the storage room. My gosh. Is everybody okay? The good news, at least, is that the storage room truly is nearly complete. We just need to get the rest of the chests in and then all of the finishing details. Oh, and then of course, we're gonna have to organize it. Now that the basic layout of this room is all in place, I think it's officially time for us to figure out how exactly we're gonna fill this up and organize it. I think when it comes to organizing specifically, I'd like to use item frames. So I need to see exactly how much leather I have, and I think the answer is none. But I'm gonna look in all my barrels, just in case. Not seeing a whole lot of leather. Okay, luckily I have cows. 9 leather should be a pretty good start. I think for some of our more large quantity items, we'll probably just need like 1 item frame at the top, and that'll signify what's in the whole section. But then some of them will probably want to be a bit more specific. For example, I think I'm gonna have this whole section be stone, and then I'm just gonna generally separate like stone items and deep slate items, and that'll be as far as my organization goes. And now begins the fun task of organizing everything I've collected across this whole world. Oh goodness. This might take a while. Where do you even start with a chest that looks like this? I guess we'll take the emeralds and the raw chicken. Food items, I suppose they could go. The dye could be its own section. Oh gosh. Emeralds, food, dye, flowers. Okay. I got this. I could be organized sometimes. I'm gonna need a pufferfish section. Maybe that just goes in the food.
1 eternity later.
All right, I'll admit, I probably should have built this storage room about 10 episodes ago. But I think this is a fantastic use of this space. I mean, this just flows so well into the village. Everything is organized. Well, almost everything. We have a couple of extra chests that I haven't quite decided what to do with, but generally, everything has a place. I've got this area over here with some empty shulker boxes so we can fill these up when we're going to take on a building project somewhere, and I just love it. I love a good storage room. I feel like this is one of the areas where you spend so much time. It's really important. Now, speaking of spending a lot of time in this area, the villagers, they spend a lot of time right here, as I've just noticed while I was building this. And they also love to take damage. You see, right here? They walk off that. I don't know why. I can't explain the way the villagers are. But anyways, I thought that we could maybe take a moment here, since we've been working in this area, and just sort of fix up this area. Because, well, it's not really much of a bedroom, is it? I think we can maybe do away with the beds. I can fix it. First thing, I want to grab some coarse dirt for the path. Maybe some spruce stairs, if we have some. And let's just get rid of this fountain for right now and maybe center it just a little bit better. I do enjoy having a bell here, but I don't know if this is the place for that. I've also done a ton of building since I originally put in these stairs, and while I love their location, I don't love that they're cobble. I think spruce just blends a lot better with the paths that I want to do, because we're using a bunch of coarse dirt for this. Oh yeah, with a little bit of mud, that'll look great. Mostly I'm trying to repeat the sort of vibe that I have right here. This is one of my favorite areas in the village right now. I love how functional it is, leading into the mines and allowing us to smelt stuff here. Speaking of, let me go grab some lava. It's just one of those areas that looks really good and also works really well for me. So I want to kind of keep repeating that as we head down into the village even more. I think the main way we're going to be able to help the villagers out here is by adding yet another retaining wall. We're going to need one on this layer, and that layer. It'll be a little bit like a 3-tiered cake, which I think I'm going to like. All right, I think I like this shape, and I'm going to grab some amethyst to outline it. I know I didn't really like the amethyst cobblestone thing, but I think it's growing on me, so I want to keep trying it out. The more structures we get in here that sort of match up with the color scheme, I think the more this amethyst is gonna make sense and actually look good. After all, the cobble might actually be the problem, not the amethyst. I may try some andesite or something instead. But for now, cobble. You know what? That's actually pretty cute, the 3 of those. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. We're gonna end up having kind of a similar vibe here, so maybe I'll just mark in a little bit of this. Let's just kind of see what that would look like. Honestly, that's not as bad as I thought it would be. It still needs some work, but it's not as bad. Plus, this retaining wall allows us to expand out this grass layer here because previously we didn't really have a way to get into this poor house over here. Now I just have to pick out where the pillars go and connect it all with some slabs. This definitely will help break up the cobblestone a little bit. Oh, sorry, dude. You walked right in front of me. Come on, I'm building here. All right, now that the retaining walls are in, the next thing to clean up are these beds. Now, obviously, this is a village, so we do need the beds, but I think I want to just re-dye them to be pink. And then, with a little bit of convincing, they might be able to look more like park benches than anything else. I think in an ideal world, we probably wouldn't have any villagers sleeping outside, but this has been a pretty safe area for a while now, so I don't mind that. It looks pretty cute, actually. Super cute, very park bench-like. Now the next thing, after I get this path in, is gonna be to spruce up the rest of the area. So I want to put the fountain back in and maybe just some flower gardens. For the fountain, I think I'm very tired of the cobblestone look around here, so I might go for something more like quartz to kind of tie in with the calcite. Luckily, we have tons of quartz from the nether, and I might actually go ahead and smelt it so that it's that smooth quartz. You know, maybe meeting time around a bell is a bad time to try to build a fountain. Let me just move this bell down here. Here you go, guys. New meeting spot. I think I also have a bell down there. That's perfect. We probably need one down there and then one up here. Or maybe here, eventually. Anyways, for now, let's work on a fountain. I'm kind of trying to think how we can best sink it into this corner here. Hello, everybody. Yep, don't mind me. I'm thinking I'm gonna keep it pretty much the same shape as before. Just a little tiny fountain, and I do think that that position works. You could still walk around it, but it leaves a big wide space here for other activities. Yeah. This'll totally work. Just need the rest of my quartz and perhaps some stairs and slabs. Then for the inside in here, I'm just gonna get a little bit of this purple. Won't be able to see much of it through the water, but it's a nice detail anyway. All right, let's see how it looks. Simple, but not awful. I don't know how I feel about this corner bits. Hold on, let me change. What if we instead did something like that? Small fountains are so awkward to make. I think that looks fine. I mean, it looks a little bit like a tooth with water. But, I mean, it's better than what was there. So I might accept it for now. I think to distract from the giant fountain tooth, I would like to add a bunch of gardens. vines all around the fountain. And I'm gonna do that with some of these alliums and then also a couple of cherry blossoms in places because I love cherry blossoms. I feel like anytime I can tie in the pink and purple in more ways, I definitely should. Oh, this is a way better area now. I love it. After finishing up the fountain area, I noticed another problem area around my storage, and that is my starter house. As much as I don't love to change a starter house once I have it, I like keeping it for the memories. I think that in this case, it just doesn't fit with the color scheme that we've decided. I thought that I was going to love the birch with the pink, but I ended up loving the spruce and purple and dark oak a lot more than the more yellowy birch color. So I decided I would go through the village in my starter area and just sort of remove the birch, switching it out for more pink or more brown. What do we think? I think it fits in much better with the surrounding area. All I have to do now is get rid of all of the rest of these oak structures and this will be a really cohesive village. Also, added a bunch of texturing to these two sections just to see if I like it better. And oh, excuse me, who does that? I hate villagers. I like that better. I'm gonna fix this, I get. How do I stop you from doing that? Why would you do that? Looking around this village now, I have so much inspiration for things that I want to do. But I think today we have a big issue that I created that I need to, fix. And that is the fact that I took out my nether portal. And I happen to like that nether portal. So I need another one somewhere, preferably actually not in the village. I left my obsidian, yep, right there. And I think I'm going to have my new nether portal be over here somewhere. I'm a little bit inspired by this tree actually, and I was hoping maybe we could build a big old cherry tree with a portal in it. Positioning is definitely going to be really important, but I like the idea of having it on top of this little round bit here. We can make it look a little bit more like a rock. And I'm going to go for spruce wood for the main bits of this tree, just because it's a bit easier to chop down compared to the cherry. And there we go. All we got to do is build a tree all around this. Should be pretty simple, I think. I don't know how big or round I want it to be. Probably pretty big. Yeah, maybe something like that. Let's check the positioning from the bridge. You know what? I think I can work with that. We'll do a nice big cherry tree just overlooking the village here. I feel like that'll be nice, something pretty organic to break up all of the structures we've been doing. Big tree project means big resource gathering session. I'm gonna need so much wood and also so many cherry leaves. After about 30 minutes of gathering, I have a full sugar box of cherry leaves and, some wood. We might run out of wood at some point, but honestly, 30 minutes of chopping trees feels like enough to me. We can always take a break and chop some more if we need it. For now, I'm really excited to get started on this project. I really love building in this particular scale of tree. I mean, it's not quite mega, but it's big enough that you get to have a lot of really fun details into the tree itself. First thing we really need to establish is exactly how high this initial trunk is going to go before we start branching it outwards. This is something that is a little bit tricky to figure out in survival mode, because we have to take a look from over here at the actual scale of the whole thing. And from here, I can tell that's not high enough. I feel like I talk about painting a lot in Minecraft because that's kind of one of the main areas that I learned a lot of art in, but you definitely want to have this line here come over the top of the mountains, right? So from here, it kind of breaks up that horizontal line a little bit more. I don't know how to explain that in fancy art terms, but that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. It looks weird, but we have the width of the trunk that's gonna come up to meet where it branches out here. You gotta trust the process, okay? It'll look fine. And quick look from the bridge. Yep, there we go. We're up above the mountain line here. So now when we add leaves to that, it'll get even higher. And of course, we're gonna do lots more branches. Yeah. That's totally way better. That's the right height, for sure. I don't want it to be too tall, because otherwise it's gonna like take over the whole village, and that's not really what we want. Now we have the fun part of actually building this thing. I love that I've picked this project today because it is actually the perfect type of day in real life to be building something like this. It is currently snowing in real life, which I absolutely love. I just got in from a dog walk with my puppy, Winnie. She is having an absolute blast in the snow. And I have a nice coffee to drink, and yeah, just being inside, getting to build up this world even more. It's such a privilege. I'm so grateful to be able to work this job another year. Thank you all. I suppose now is probably a good time to maybe talk about some of my goals for this year in this particular world. Obviously, this is not the only world that I will have this year, although I am hoping this one and the Hermitcraft series that eventually starts up again will be sort of my most consistent series throughout, so I'm going to try to focus mostly on those two series this year. And in this series in particular, I want to keep a focus on doing the smaller to mid-sized builds, keeping things very relatable and a slightly slower pace, sort of trying to keep the scale just a bit small, I suppose. And maybe that's a bit boring because I know the meta is currently a bit mega, but I think I'm going to save my mega stuff for over on Hermitcraft, because I feel like if I'm going to build mega, I may as well do it on a multiplayer server. For this particular world, my goal is actually to finish up this village sometime in the first quarter of this year, I'm hoping. And once I do that, I really want to branch out and do even more villages. Each village sort of having its own theme. So we'll have this little pink village here and sort of surrounding area. And then maybe we'll build a path out in one of the directions here and pick a new village. Because we've seen other villages around here. We got a snow village, we got a taiga village, and we got some plains villages over there. I don't know exactly what it'll end up looking like at the end of it all, but my goal is to have a very connected together world. I don't know if I've ever really pulled something like that off. My last hardcore series, we pretty much stayed just in one village for about 30 episodes or so, but I'm hoping in this one, I'm trying to go at a slow pace, but not as slow as that. So we'll finish up one village, move to another, and slowly kind of connect the world together. It's looking a little blocky. We got to sculpt it down. One of the fun things about building trees like this is you place a bunch of blocks, like as many blocks as you want, and then you come in afterwards and you break some of the blocks and kind of like sculpting with clay a little bit. That is one of the methods you could use to build these. We're just kind of trying to gently transition the trunk from this big, thick base up to something that branches out. We've also got to think about our entrance to our nether portal here. I think this is probably fine. I imagine we'll break these. Maybe get some extra obsidian to have a longer portal. Yeah, that could work. Anyways, I hope that you all enjoy hearing about those plans. I like letting you guys in on my thought process for what I want to do with this channel, and hopefully that's something that you would be interested in watching. But if it's not, of course, well, now you know. Now you know. Probably no mega builds in this world. I think that's probably for the best. I mean, it could always change. Maybe I'll find some random inspiration in one particular village, but I think I'm really enjoying the village transformation vibe. If I want to get anything done here, I'd better stop talking and start building. Let's time-lapse the rest of this, shall we? Alright, after not too much playing around with it, I think probably about an hour's worth, we officially have a tree. And I'm really liking the size of it, especially from this view over here. But, of course, before we put the leaves on, we're going to want to make sure that it actually does look good from all of the angles. So let's check over here. Not bad. And then from back over here. Yeah, you know what? I actually think that looks lovely. So now the final thing that we need to do is put on the leaves and add the finishing details and I guess also a path over to the portal. This is kind of the easy part. The most difficult part of a tree is definitely the branches. So what I was looking for there when I was flying around it is to make sure that this looks like a big old sphere, basically. The leaves will be a lot easier to place on this tree if the branches are in sort of a sphere shape. So that is to say there are branches going in every single direction. Up, down, east, west, north, south, everywhere. And then we get the easy part of just coming in with the leaves, and we're gonna do leaves basically all over this tree. And I call this the easy part because you could just really not even think about it. Just spam place as much as possible. Gonna fall off the tree a lot. And then I'll go in with my shears and just break them in spots so that we get lots of air pockets. This is probably going to take both a lot of leaves and also a lot of time. So this is one of those projects that I kind of like to do while having just a movie on in the background, a little hot chocolate, a little snack, and just kind of relax into it and spam place leaves. A shulker box of leaves, now that I'm using these up, is probably not gonna do it. So I may have to take a quick leaf farming break as well, but that's okay. I did a much larger one of these cherry trees on Hermitcraft, but I did it before we had these cherry leaves in the game, and oh my goodness, the cherry leaves are so much better than having to use pink glass. This is epic. The petals falling down is gonna look so good as well. Oh, God, it's a good thing I have feather falling on my boots. But look at the petals! Oh, I love it. All right, leaves are in. Now it is time for the final details. And that's gonna involve a tiny bit of terraforming, I think, because I would like to link up this path over here behind my starter house all the way over to the tree so that we can very easily access the portal that's right here. And speaking of the portal, I think I'm gonna go ahead and make it just a tiny bit bigger than the default small size. And we can do that by just adding a bit of obsidian, and let's also light that so we see what it looks like. Oh yeah. No, that's so cool. I love a portal tree. That's one of my earlier videos on this channel that really popped off was a portal tree. It was a creative mode one, and it just every time I do one, it just reminds me of that. It's so lovely. And then we're just gonna wrap a tiny little pathway around the roots here and over to that path there. I think I want to do this out of coarse dirt and mud, but I'm a little bit limited on those supplies, so we'll start with the path blocks and move into the coarse dirt whenever I collect it. I find path blocks are just a great way to get that initial shaping in without having to do any of the actual texturing of the path. Yep. That is brilliant, I think. It just gives a little point of interest over here. And of course, we can do something with the inside here. I suspect we'll just put a chest with some of our stuff that we need for the nether, like gold. But for now, that's looking pretty good. I want to move our attention back to the tree for some lights, because this thing's gonna spawn a lot of mobs. I'm thinking we're gonna use some dark oak because that goes very well with the spruce. And I'm just literally gonna do some hanging lights. It's a classic, but it always works. It's a simple detail, but I love the way that that turned out. It looks so much more magical now. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite views right here under the cherry leaves. View of the farms and the bridge and the village. It's exactly what I wanted. At this point, there's not a lot to do except fix up a couple of the small details around the base, which is not a super big job, but it does make a difference to the final project. So we'll do it either way. Maybe I could actually get rid of that. Yeah, that's a bit better. Hey, you got a shovel. You gonna help with the terraforming? Wonderful. And of course, the finishing touch, a little bit of interior inside the tree. Gonna go with crimson, because I think it looks cool. And then chest, our gold stuff, and a lantern. Ooh. All right, moment of truth. Let's go see what it looks like. View from the bridge. Oh, it's way better than the previous portal. There's still a villager out by it. We're gonna have to work on some better fencing, but that is lovely, I think. I think it does a really good job of bringing in all of the cherry that's in the mountains and bringing it kind of more towards the village. It's also going to make way more sense as to why we have so many little cherry blossoms all around the village. As always, I want to hear all of your thoughts down in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of all the finishing details that we put on the place today. We did so much detail work and added a new build. I'm excited about it. Let me know what you thought and subscribe and stuff. Okay, I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year.